Okay, here we go. Finally, the operation video for you. I'm glad I had this extra time with the bike, so I was able to refine some installations. These are all prototypes. This is the only one of its kind. I did things a little bit differently on this than I did the others. I learned from each one. You'll notice here you have two calipers on one disc. This was something I did on the last triple threat because I needed more braking power. This is actually a hydraulic brake. It has oil in here and it has a nice soft hydraulic feel to it, and then this particular brake has metal impregnated pads. So this is a great braking system. This thing stops really nice considering all the weight and everything that's going on. This is a heavy-duty hub motor. It's designed to handle 400 pounds, bike and riders, so it can handle this. This is to keep the axle from turning inside the fork leg. It's a reinforcement. I've got several reinforcement washers on the axle. The cable goes up through the fork so that it looks better than having it on the outside. I've got your fender reinforced to reduce vibration. You can check this nut right here, large crescent wrench, and just put a snug on it. Make sure it's staying tight because you got a lot of torque on this front hub. It's pulling you, the bike, everything from a dead stop. So you're putting a lot of torque on that nut, so it's a good idea to just check it when it's new like this. Check it every day or two that you're riding it, and then after a week or so, just check it every once in a while. So you're good here. I got this splitter I made. It splits the two cables into one that goes up to the handle. You got the heavy-duty steel forks. There's your LED headlight. It has high and low. That's your horn. We went with the Sportster tank. I think it's 2.2 gallons. Probably go 200 miles on just gas with that thing. This is a 3-speed bicycle. Here's your shifter. 1, you hear it click. You can feel it click. 2, 3. When you're pedaling, first gear is actually almost too easy to pedal. Probably won't pedal in that gear much. You can pedal in second, pedal in third. Third gear is not that hard really to pedal this bike. Although it looks like a motorcycle, it probably only weighs about 110 pounds. The frame is aluminum. The fenders, the motor, most of this stuff's all aluminum. The gooseneck, the rack. Here, if you look, this is your 48-volt lithium battery, and here's your 12-volt for your lighting system. You always plug the chargers into the wall first. Plug chargers into the wall first, and then there's alligator clips, red and black. Red and black. Don't cross them. For your lighting system. And then in here, attach your charger to the wall first and then plug it in. I'm sending the chargers. I recommend each day that you ride that you just go ahead and charge them back up to full capacity. Here's your controller. It does get hot while you ride, so I put grommets in the top of the bag to let the heat out. But with this thing being tri-powered, you'll be able to let that cool down from time to time. You won't be using it all the time. So it's a nice complement to each other, the gas and the electric and the pedal. I got your little PedalChopper plate there. There's your lighting. There's your tail light. Let me turn on the lights. Here, this is on. Here's your high beam, low beam. You might hear that clicking. I must have left the blinker on. Horn. I think this is to flash your headlight. I haven't had a chance to check that out. I think it flashes your headlight for a signal to oncoming traffic, whatnot. You can see it's daytime, bright sun here, but that's your tail light, and the brake light does actuate with the brake lever. Here's your brakes. All your brakes are tied in. All 3 brakes are tied into this lever. This is your clutch. It's got that pin so that when you don't want to hold it in all the time, you just set the pin and you're in neutral. Right now you're a bicycle and an electric bike. With that pin in, even if the engine's running, you're in neutral. I think with these 16-inch bars and this seat with the suspension post, you're probably going to bring that seat up about 3 inches from where I have it set. I can barely reach the pedals with 30 inseam with that setting right there. So if you had about 3 inches, you'd be good. 2 to 3 inches, you might want to keep it a little low. Not really any maintenance on this unit. I'm going to give you about $200 in spare parts, since I have to have a little extra money for shipping and packing. So I'm going to try to pay you back by, I'm going to send you brand new calipers that can replace these if they ever wear down to a nub. I'm also going to send you oil for your first 4 gallons of fuel, and I'm going to send some tools that might come in handy for this unit. So basically that's it. You got pedal power, you got a freewheel here. So when you're riding, that freewheel's just spinning. The pedals aren't turning. You can come to a stop sign, put it in 2nd or 3rd gear, start pedaling, or you can come to a stop sign. Here's on off. Or you can come to a stop sign and just use your thumb screw. This thing will do about 24 miles an hour with me on it. I'm about 250 pounds. That's a good little e-bike hub, but when it's disengaged, when you're not pushing on the thumb screw, the gear backs out like on a starter on a car, and you're completely at neutral. So it free spins. It doesn't drag on the bike at all. And that's why I use that motor with these, because if you had drag, you'd be bogging down everything. This motor, I've got it hopped up. This is a hot CDI. This is a moped carb. This is a high compression, specially machined head. I've got it putting out about double, well, 75% more than what it's designed. So we're pushing close to 5 horsepower, which is a lot for a little bicycle motor. So it's not a Harley Davidson, but if you give it some time while you're riding, it will build up speed. It's just, you know, first gear you get a lot of vibration because it's geared so low. It's good for hill climbing or just starting out from a dead stop. But you probably won't be in first gear that much in gas on this unit because you have the electric. You probably mainly be second gear. Just use the thumb screw to start out, or pedal if you like, and then you'll drop the clutch and take off while the gas is running. I'm going to show you how to start this thing with the electric. It's easy to do because you can just use the electric to get you up to speed, and then you kick it while you're rolling. I am going to send extra gasket and hardware for this. If this ever springs a leak, you're seeing oil through here, you'll have to loosen up this nut to release this clamp a little bit. You'll have to loosen up the bottom bolt there release that pipe so that you can slide it back just a little to clean up both surfaces, the pipe and the face. You can clean it up by hand with a screwdriver or whatever, small file. Clean it up real nice and put a new gasket in there, and then just go ahead and change the hardware. I'm going to send a couple sets of stainless steel nylock nuts and gaskets. So when you're riding, you can put your feet any position you want. Your freewheel mode. This is your on and off for your fuel. I don't know that you need to mess with that at any point, but you can. It's an option. You do have a shutoff. That's on. We have your headlamp is on. And it is a good bright light. I got these bump stops, so if the handlebars get out of control, it'll hit the bump stop. Won't damage the tank. Here's your on-off for your gas motor. You can see the green stripe that's on. When I shut it off, I always go ahead and just put the thing back down, because if you don't, you'll forget. You'll be pedaling and cranking and kicking and wondering why it's not starting. Well, if that's off, it ain't gonna start. If it's up, it won't start. So I'm gonna show you. I'm going to start this thing up so you can hear it run. Here's your gears. I have them preset and locked in. I don't think you'll have any issue with that. You know, but if you ever do feel a grab or a pop, it's likely that the cable has stretched slightly. So you're going to want to use either this adjustment or this adjustment to just slightly tighten that cable. But I've got it pre-stretched and preset. I got the chain pre-stretched and preset. I don't think you're going to have to fool with any of that, but if you ever do feel a grab or a pop or a slip, get a hold of me and we'll talk about it. Okay, so all you got to do when you're going to take this thing out, come over here and push this down. That's your choke. This is your idle. I'm going to have it preset, but if you want to bump your idle up, it goes in. Screw it in. You can do that by hand. This is your overall adjustment for your carburetor. I'm going to try to dial it in optimal. I'm probably going to leave it a little rich so the engine can run into it. And all this stuff has hardly any mileage on it, so this jack shaft, the chains, everything has to kind of wear in, run in, and the longer you run it, the smoother this thing's going to get. And the more you get used to it, you'll learn to utilize the electric and the gas and the pedals so that it's second nature. You won't even have to think about it. I was going to show you on the choke, that is the on position. But if you come up here, hear that click? You pull the throttle down, it disengages that. So I'm going to push that down, hit the throttle, and it pops up. So when you first go to start this thing, it's cold-blooded unless you've been running it already. If you've only had it off for a couple minutes, you probably won't have to choke it, but they cool down quick and they heat up slow. So until you run this thing 5-10 minutes, it really doesn't run very smooth for the first 5-10 minutes. It likes to be hot. It runs, the hotter it gets, the smoother it runs. So that's what you do. You put the choke down. The off on this is, if you hit that, it turns on a light if you hit the button once. If you hold the button down 3 seconds, it shuts off. Try to remember to hold that down and shut it off after each use, because that will wear the battery down overnight if you... Okay, so here it is running. You can see with that silent pipe, it's pretty quiet. Runs good. This is a good running motor. This is the Groovy motor. And I'll have her adjusted out nicely. Like I said, real cold-blooded. When you first start them up, it takes a good 5-10 minutes before it starts really running nice. Like I said, here's your on-off. Always flip it back that way when you're ready. So what we're going to do, I'm not sure on shipping if I'm going to remove the seat, because I think the container I'm making is going to be wide enough for that seat. I'm going to keep it all in one piece. We've got some plugs up here I might have to disconnect and label, you know, like A, B, C, whatever. You can reconnect them, nothing to it. All I'm going to do is take the 4 bolts off that plate, and I'm going to fold these handlebars down on one side or the other. I'm not sure, whichever one's best. With all these cables I got running, I got to see what's going to be the easiest way for me to send it to you so you can put it back together. I got a feeling I'm going to be laying them over on this side, but I'm not sure yet. I'm going to keep everything assembled. You'll have to put the pedals on. I got pedal extenders on there so that your legs clear the wide tank there. So both pedals go on toward the front, off toward the back. So I'm probably going to break them here at the extender, and then you just put a little Loctite on there, and one's left, one's right. When you're sitting on the bike, left and right, and they both go on the same direction. They both go on. Left side goes on towards the front, and the right side goes on towards the front. One of them is reverse thread because you're cranking. It's designed that way so the pedal won't unscrew while you're riding. But the handlebars, the pedals, look like about it. I'm going to send you a spare tube. I'm probably going to send you a spare tire and some tools and some other odds and ends. And you should be good to go. So that's about it. There's no maintenance other than time to time 3/16. Check these, make sure they're staying tight. There's 2, 4, 6, and then the other side. But they probably won't loosen up because I've been working on them, wearing them in, breaking them in. But it's worth checking. And not much in the way of maintenance. If you need a plug, I'm going to go ahead and send you an extra plug, and you can put that in. Other than that, there's no oil changes. The oil's in the fuel. You're going to do a 4 ounces of oil, and I like to use this octane boost. About 104 octane. These motors love octane. Premium fuel only. 1 shot glass full of this octane boost, if you can find some octane boost. No more than that. 1 shot per gallon, 1 ounce per gallon. And then this is 16 ounces. This is 4 gallons. This is Dominator AMSOIL. This is the best, but any good 2-stroke synthetic will do just fine. Put 4 ounces max. You don't need more than that. It'll start smoking. 4 ounces max per gallon. 3.5, 4 ounces. Don't go any less. Don't go any more. You can see she's a beautiful ride. We do have a little bit of spaghetti up here, but it couldn't be helped with the lighting system. We got a whole lot going on here. So you wouldn't believe how much wiring I got hidden in the frame and underneath the tank. When it's cold, you get a little vibration from the tank. I got it tightened up as much as I can, but with that aluminum frame, it's absorbing a lot of shock. So you get a little vibration during the power curve, but when it warms up or you get over the midway part on the throttle, it smooths out quite a bit. And you can use the gears to your advantage. This is a leaf spring reinforcement to keep the 2 wishbones from getting too much shock and breaking or shattering the frame. That's an all aluminum hydroformed frame, so it's pretty stiff. We've had a lot of success with it. You shouldn't have any problem. So always feel free to contact me if you have a question or a problem. But there she is. I'm going to see if I can get my GoPro going and send another video of me actually riding the bike, but we'll see what happens. She idles nice. When you can hear the engine, internals on the engine, you got a nice setup going. I wanted to show you one last thing here. This bike's pretty light, but it's long, so when you maneuver it in the house or whatever, you're going to feel the urge to kind of drag it on the kickstand. Don't do that. That kickstand's not designed to be twerked, you know. Okay, battery went dead, but this cap is a screw cap, and it's vented, so you've got a gravity feed here. The vent's built into the cap. That's why you'll smell fuel when it's parked, because it's venting the vapors. So probably a good idea to keep it out in the garage or something. Not really a good idea to keep in the house. I'll have a plastic bag in here screwed down. The tank will be as empty as I can get it, and I'll run it completely out of fuel before I ship. This is your on-off valve. Off, on, probably won't ever have to mess with it, but it's there if you need it. In the meantime, when you first get the bike, you're probably going to want to put gas in it and then pull this hose off and let some fuel come through so you can get the air bubbles out of it. It's an elastic type fuel line, but it's good to get a flow going. For some reason, sometimes they get kind of vapor locked when you first start running them. So that'll be that. Here's your clutch lever over here. You can see it moves there, so when you let it out, it engages the motor, which turns the shaft, which turns the back wheel. So when you pull the clutch in, that disengages all that, and you've got pedal power, electric power, but you can use them all at once. I just recommend that don't hit the electric power when you're going faster than what's designed to go. When you're under gas power, you know, I'd let the bike slow down to, you know, like 10 miles an hour before I engage the electric. The electric can't keep up with the gas. I don't know how fast this thing will go, but if you got a good tailwind, it'll probably go in excess of 45 miles an hour. I don't know how much. I've had guys do over 50 with the 3-speed setup. So basically, when you're going to go for a ride, you probably want to come over here, turn your lights on. You can put your high beam on if you want to be safer. You know, I'd probably put it in second gear. Come over here, make sure your choke's on, and then all you're going to do is you're going to hit your thumb throttle. Let me turn that back on. Hit your thumb throttle, get yourself up to a nice little speed, maybe 10 miles an hour. And then you're going to, while you're rolling, you're going to kick this down while you're rolling. And you got to let the clutch out, I'm sorry. And you got to put it in first gear. Let's do that again. So you're going to put it in first gear. You're going to let the clutch out. When the clutch is out, you can't really pedal because the motor's engaged. You get your speed up with your electric front, and then just kick while you're rolling. And then back it up, kick again, back it up. It'll slip on you a little bit. You got to get the feel, because there's a lot of compression there. The clutch will kind of slip a little. You get the feel for getting a good kick on it, and this thing fires up easy, but you need to leave the choke on and feather the throttle. Leave the choke on and feather the throttle and try to get it warmed up for 2 or 3 minutes, and then after it gets a little warm, then you can pull it all the way down and kick off the auto choke. But you want to do all this in first gear or the engine will bog. And also when you come into a stop, if you're up to speed, you're in second, third gear, when you come to a stop, if you don't pull the clutch in, it'll stall. It doesn't like going real slow in the high gear. You get used to all that. It's not a big deal, but this isn't a motorcycle. This is just that's just a 3-speed rear hub. You're adjusting the gears like a bicycle. When you downshift, this bike just freewheels because this is a freewheeling rear hub. So when you let the clutch out and slow down, the engine ain't going to slow you down like a motorcycle. You're just going to coast until you go so slow that the engine will stall. So you get used to that. It's just different. It's not. It's just different from a basic motorcycle. So, like I said, I'm going to get the GoPro camera and see if I can show you actual operation of this unit. But lights, choke, first gear, and then you'll just hit your thumb screw, get your speed up 10-15 miles an hour, drop the clutch, and then kick. And usually takes 2 or 3 to get 2 or 3 kicks. You just kick it down while you're rolling. If you get going too slow, then you're gonna have to, get your speed back up and kick it again. But once it starts in first, you can leave the clutch out. It'll usually just start rolling under gas power until you get it good and warm. After about a minute with the choke on, kick it off, keep feathering the throttle. It takes a good 5-10 minutes for this thing to get warm. In the meantime, you're not going to like it. It's kind of like riding a Bronco till it gets warm. So I'm going to go ahead and fire it up and let you hear it run.